what do you feel like is important for people to know now about how we can and why we need to um, see our lives as nature and design them in the way that's um,
Not separate.
not separate, exactly. See ourselves as nature and redesign our lives in honor of that oneness with
Yeah.
nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all
and
right.
and that all ties into, it's not just nature, but it's the nature connectedness in all of us, which connects all of us on a deeper level, and uniting all of us together, um, to work together, as humans, but also with this beautiful life force, the sentient life that surrounds us everywhere. um, and for me, it's tapping into the natural world and finding solitude in the stillness and in the peace and listening to the birds, and putting my feet on the ground. And in those moments, I deeply connect with Mother Earth. And that for me expands my heart in a way that I radiate out to the cosmos, to everybody, to all of humanity. Um, and that's the interconnectedness that I think is the most important, that we're all deeply connected on the micro and the macro level. And we can see that reflected in nature, and we can see that reflected in our own lives when we tap more deeply into the natural world.
So, Sarah, I would love to hear from you a little bit about how you rediscovered or remembered that this was the work that needed to be done in the world and the repairing that you needed individually and that we all need collectively. Tell us a little bit about how you remembered that and
Hmm.
and what you're and what you've been doing with it since.
Well, my background has been in design. I went to college for industrial design and automotive design, more specifically, and that led me into working and designing products, designing toys, designing yachts and boats. And then I was designing theme parks for a while. And, right after college, I just jumped right into the corporate world and was, really shown that like it was work time. And I lost a lot of my freedom in that. And I
Mm.
also gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom and a lot of beautiful connections, and got to experience really amazing projects, really large scale projects, all of which are tools that are helping me with what I'm working to create now. And I think I really went through a little bit of burnout, and I was beginning to really just feel disconnected from the opportunity to travel and to really have a lot more freedom in my life. Um, I sort of felt shackled to a desk and lights inside and computers and just driving in traffic, and it really began to take a toll on my own mental health, my own well-being. And I saw it reflected around me as well, and taking a toll on other people, that just kind of living in a state of fight or flight, and just constantly turned on. And it became very robotic for me, where I was doing this same repetitive thing every day, and I was limited to my time to be in nature. And I put a lot of energy into working out to get my energy out before I would, sit all day. So I think where the shift really happened was around 2019 for me. I took a backpacking trip to Alaska, and I really just was like, I'm going off grid. I'm going to go find some really remote places, and I really need to connect with myself. And around that time, I had just entered into Kundalini yoga training. And I would have never thought that you would get me to sit on a mat and sit still and breathe and learn to breathe. And that training at the time really began to help me come back to my body and help me find awareness in myself. And that awareness in myself allowed me to see the awareness around me and what was going on in my environment, and how my environment was also affecting my well-being. and then I needed to make some shifts and to improve that for myself. And at the time it felt very like lost. I had no idea how that would work, but I knew that I grew up in nature. I grew up camping and playing outside and building forts and, always being outside. So I wanted that again. And I was like, how do I get that again? How can I spend most of my days surrounded by the natural world and live in nature essentially? And it sounded crazy to me at the time. Like, you can't do that. The little doubts, the voice in your head, that's not possible. Like, how will you pay bills? How you do these things? And so anyway, I went to Alaska for 2 weeks, and in that period of time, the solitude and the stillness that I found, I came back changed, and I was like, this is what I want. I do want that. I do want to have more freedom to spend my life doing the things that really bring me joy and that I'm most passionate about. And that began the shift of me trying to figure out how to move forward in that way. And I developed a lot of reading a lot with self-development books and practicing meditation, learning breathwork techniques, really focusing on my mental health, my emotional health, my physical health, that combination. And for me it really is that combination of the mind, body, and the soul connection. And so I began to deepen my spiritual path as well, and really get reflecting inward, really trying to turn off the noise that was around me and the doubts and the fears and what other people might think or say, um and just get into my heart space. And I made some career shifts at that time, and then in the end of 2020 I bought a little minibus. And I had been dreaming about this for about 6 years. While I would sit at my desk, I would watch YouTube videos of people doing bus life and van life, and thought, wow, that's amazing. How do I do that? And after gathering enough information and really feeling it in my sacral that this is something I wanted to do, I bought a little minibus. And then 5 days later, I got let go due to the pandemic. And it felt like this was it. It was just time for me to reconnect. And I was prepared. I had been selling all of my belongings from the course of a year and a half. So I didn't have much left. Anyway, I moved to my friend's farm where I started to build my bus out, um, which for me was really exciting because I got to work with my hands again, and be outside building, which is a passion of mine. And I built my minibus fully fitted with solar panels to be completely off grid. And in 2021, I traveled across the country, um, reconnecting with nature and spending a lot of time in solitude. I went across 21 states in the course of about 6 months, completely just finding places to camp for free. And really, in that period, it was me on a pilgrimage of my soul, tapping back into myself and my intuition to really be guided safely along this journey. And just spending a lot of time hiking and a lot of time in streams and getting my water from fresh water sources, eating fresh food, and really just nurturing my body and kind of decompressing from that fight or flight mode that I had been in for so long. When I came back from that journey, some opportunities opened for me. One of my former professors, who I'm friends with, had been following me for a while, and she asked me if I would be willing to teach nature-based design and help them rewrite their curriculum at the University of Cincinnati, where I went to college. And so I accepted that position because teaching and education is really important to me and a passion of mine. So I got to work with the third and fourth year students, teaching for a couple semesters and writing the curriculum on nature-based design, being a mindful designer, sharing about eco villages and alternative ways of living, and having the students do personal reflections and things that they wouldn't normally do, necessarily in a regular college course. So it's about that experiential learning to me. Um, yeah, and so there's just these doors began to open as I was shifting my internal world, where I used to think I have no idea how I'm going to get there. And the more that I focused on myself and my connection being back with nature and being in harmony and that oneness, the doors just continue today, even, just keep opening up a new pathway. And so what went from being, I have no idea, and being really sad about it, to just having these beautiful divine opportunities come forward. Um, that to me is where that internal piece really truly is about the external piece, and how we are deeply interconnected. And when we start to live out our uniqueness and what really drives us in life, um, that will be shown and revealed for us in our external world as well. That was a long-winded answer
Yeah,
to your question.
love it. You shared really the fullness of your story. And I think now I'd love to hear, you're going to be facilitating workshops at the Weekend Getaway in September, and um I would love to hear from you what you feel is like the workshop is called Collective Collaboration with Nature. Um, what do you feel are like the really key elements, or the knowledge? I keep saying knowledge because it's a word I use a lot in my somatic practice, about like the knowings that we already have, the knowings that exist. So, what do you really feel is like the knowledge that you're supporting people and tapping into, that helps to like awaken this relationship of ourselves as nature, and this full reciprocal flow we're already in, that we are not in, we
Mhm.
just are.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's really about having that direct observation, and really getting to know the natural world. Many people have actually started to become fearful of nature, um, and
Mm.
that's just because of our current kind of social structures, our current ways of living, where many of us live in apartments, or we live in areas where we don't have a lot of green space, or we're really just not exposed to it as much because of our daily lives. We're on the move, we have families, we're driving in traffic. We know cars go at a speed that is not natural to our way of existing. When we were nomadic, we didn't drive cars, so even that in a sense is moving at a space and a pace that is far faster than we typically, like, naturally would exist.
Yes,
Um,
I think about that
and
stuff all the time.
yeah, yeah, it's I think we walk at a speed of like 4 miles per hour or something, and then you think about we're on average, and then you think about we're in a car going 70, 80 miles an hour, and everyone's speeding around, and you're just kind of blinded by life. You're in your head, you're not in your heart, thinking about what's for dinner, what's the next thing to do, the laundry list of stuff going on. And that disconnection can really disrupt our nervous system. It did for me. And I think getting back to, it's not just the natural world, but it's also ourself, with like our breath work and creating awareness around pause and stillness like nature.
Mm.
um a tree stays in the same place for a very long time, but it's full of wisdom and information and knowledge, and it has seen and felt a lot and experienced a lot in its own life, but it's not going a million miles an hour either. Um so yeah, I think with this collaboration with nature, for me, it's about observing what we're seeing, but also sitting in that pause, sitting in that stillness, and being at a slower pace, and recognizing our breath, and that our breath is connected with the trees that are giving us life force, and vice versa. We're sharing that back with them. Um, and the branches of a tree even look like the branches within our lungs, and again, it's the micro to the macro. There's everything is interconnected when we start to look and observe in more detail. Um, and that requires slowing down, and that requires pause and stillness, and that is also super uncomfortable. And I say that now because I've done a lot of work to be able to do that. But again, when I started yoga training, I thought these people were crazy. I was like, "You gonna get me to sit and just turn my mind? That's not possible, you know." Um, but it is possible, and that takes a kind of a rewiring of our nervous system, a rewiring of those neurological pathways that have been programmed into that speed, fast racing through life, and we need to reprogram that to start to feel the more calmness and stillness and get back to that compassionate space, especially in the times that we're living in with such great shifts and so much duality in the world. When we can regulate our nervous system and use nature as a tool, which has been psychologically proven to affect our well-being, um, then we can live from a place that's more heart-centered, a place that's more grounded, like the trees, and put our roots down, into Mama Earth, and really feel grounded through what we're all going through, which is a lot, and be able to move with more integrity in our day-to-day life, and just find more peace. It ultimately, for me, it brings more peace. So yeah, that's
Yeah, that's all that's. Uh, I appreciate you, Sarah, and you having these conversations. I do this with my daughter when we're having the same, and I just want to do it from here at the heart because I'm right where you are, and I really value human beings like you who are taking, their lives into their own hands, actually, and
yeah.
and following really the truth of who we are. I'm just going to say. Um,
Hmm.
so I I want to be like, I love you. I'm excited to meet you. Thank you
Hmm.
so much for sharing even today. I look forward to whatever pieces we're going to be able to share with everyone else. And I'm excited for the women who are going to really have the opportunity of having this conversation with you at the weekend getaway in September.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited.